80 billion. This helps to balance our currency. Our currency risk is less because we get that much inflow. The other issue is we have young demographics. We have more people, 60% are under the age of 35. Now, basically, India is not a manufacturing country. Countries which are total lockdown, where manufacturing is hit the most. But we are a service-driven economy, and certain services have been impacted, like tourism and travel and airlines and restaurants. But IT and back office and call centers, banks, online businesses are working to some extent. And there's not a complete lockdown of the service sector. We are also the third largest base of startups. And I have a lot of confidence that there is a lot of innovation and entrepreneurship amongst our youngsters who will come out in future with good possibilities. Now, what are our challenges? Our challenges are the Indian economy was already on a slowdown before the COVID. This crisis is called the HEF crisis, human, economic, and financial, or human, economic, and financial crisis, or health, economic, and financial crisis. But all these three things have morphed into one. The poor are the most vulnerable, and we must recognize that government has limited resources. Now, as leaders of your companies, you have two tasks. One is look at the today, try and burn out, douse the fires of today. Doing business in a lockdown is not easy. Selling flats in a lockdown is impossible. But you can at least look after the safety and ensure that your people are safe and they'll be ready to come back when the lockdown is lifted. And second, how to get back to work safely. What will be the new normal like? What will be the customer behavior post-COVID? Where do you see the new opportunity? Where do you see vulnerabilities? What will be the psyche of your workers post-COVID? Will they return? Where will they return? Don't forget the trouble and the pain and the torture they've gone through going back to their homes. And finally, what happens if there's a second wave? These are all possibilities. These are all difficult questions to answer. There is no past experience because this type of crisis happened 90 years ago. So no one alive today knows how to handle this type of crisis. Before I move to the real estate, I just want to say it's difficult for you all, but you need to be liquid. You need to try and be liquid. My advice to you is PE commitments or sanction line of credit is not equal to liquidity in today's time. No one who is sanctioned loans to you or no one who is given a PE commitment to you will agree to disperse post-COVID. They will review it again. They will change their mind. They will relook at the issues. So liquidity is what you have today, not what is sanctioned, not a sanctioned piece of paper, because that will not hold good. Valuation model is going to drastically change. Most companies will be judged on tangible revenues and profitability. Burning cash model, which the startups do, I don't think this will last. The only positive thing here I can say is that the private equity people have huge amount of dry cash with them to invest in India, with the India dedicated fund and real estate fund. Now let's go to the real estate. The reason why I began by saying that we should be cautiously optimistic is because one must remember that real estate is a very important asset class. I don't know how many of you are aware that the value of global real estate, the global real estate value today is more than all the world's stock and bonds combined. So real estate is a very, very important asset class. The irony for India is that for the first time, we saw a government under the leadership of Prime Minister come out with massive incentives for affordable housing, like incentives incentivizing builders by no tax, cash subsidy scheme. We have been dispersing massive amounts of money to people who are buying affordable homes. They are getting reimbursement from National Housing Bank. But all this has come, unfortunately, coincided with one of the worst, deepest crises we've ever seen. Similarly, I think in 2019, it was an excellent year for commercial real estate. I have not seen the kind of global investor interest and key interest for it. And till the crisis hit us. I understand as developers, a number of you may be feeling worried, weary, given that in recent period, there have been lots of fires you had to douse, starting from digitization, adjusting RERA, adjusting to RERA, GST and its ongoing challenges, despite liquidity crisis which led to risk averseness in lending, and now to the present situation, which is a global paralysis, where both demand and supply have evaporated. But let me also say that in my over 40 years of experience of dealing with all the developers, I have found your lot to be the most resilient. You always find a way coming out of difficult situations. And we hope you find a way coming out of this crisis once it's over. The point we must remember is that the Indian real estate market was already in a state of prolonged pain for various reasons, such as oversupply in certain pockets, economic stress that impacted certain segments, high leverage, too much short funding, short-term financing with long-term commitments, tight liquidity, rising NPAs in construction finance, and fraud. There have been quite a lot of frauds also in your business, in your sector. As against this background was coming together of two potential three-stage crises. Stage 3 in financial parlance are non-performing loans. And stage 3 crisis, which in health parlance is when infection spreads to the community. So we that the lockdown, timely lockdown by the government and complete lockdown for 2-3 more weeks is going to flatten the curve and we come out strongly. The bigger question is, what is going to be the impact on real estate and how do we unwind from this situation? For starters, I think the prices of real estate has to come down and will come down. I believe the NAREDCO's estimate is between 10 to 15%. I have said somewhere that one must be prepared for even 20%. Now, for those home buyers, potential future home buyers who have got job security or cash flows, this will be an excellent buying opportunity as prices come down. New launches are bound to be postponed or delayed. Corporates will postpone buying commercial real estate at least for some time till the current scenario becomes more clear and they have a better control on the evolving environment. But let me reiterate that commercial space requirements will not evaporate. This work from home may be possible to some extent, but I don't think most human beings like to interact and in contact with each other. We are not going to see the entire workforce migrate to a work from home culture on a permanent basis. And also we have to understand that there are jobs that can be digitized, but there are a large number of jobs that cannot be digitized in our industry. The other good thing I feel is that all of you have collectively pulling in your suggestions and recommendations and given it to the regulators and to the state governments, central government. I have seen number of mails from PIDAI, from MCHI, from NAREDCO and others, letters which presidents of respective organizations have written to chief ministers, to RBI, to housing minister, to the finance ministry. So there have been a lot of recommendations. And I do believe that they are sensitized, government and regulators are sensitized and recognize the priority this sector, as this is the second largest creator of jobs after agriculture. And our industry, real estate, has interlinkages with number of industries, other industries. Only thing is that understand there are limited resources with the fiscal, and there has to be some give and take. Now, I have culled out some recommendations, which first I'm going to give you about what we need to push with the state government, since land is a state subject, what we need from RBI, and what we need from developers. And I'll stop after that. For state governments, we have to incentivize migrants to return to work in phases. I feel that the government, in consultation and in association, in partnership with the developer community, must ensure easier travel and enhanced insurance cost of the migrant labor back to construction site. For instance, you can offer only for first 45 days if the migrant labor comes back from their village, the government and the developer community will help them partly pay for their travel cost and insurance costs. Developers may have to be prepared to increase some wages and incentivize them to lure workers back. Don't forget the pain and torture they've gone through going home. We must push the state governments to give a waiver of stamp duty and registration charge on housing, say in the month of September and October, when normalcy comes back and just before the festive season. This can be given only for a limited period of time because the loss of revenue to state would be significant. Review ready-reckoner rates more frequently. I think this is a demand from all of you. The ready-reckoner rates, I don't know, we've not been able to do real estate transactions because of ready-reckoner rates, high ready-reckoner rates. And the most important one is permit a staggered or a deferred payment schedule on various levies pertaining to land transaction for a short period of time to kickstart the process. Here I mean I2R, TDR costs, Sanat cost, ULC charges. These charges, the state government has to stagger them. No one will be able to pay all this upfront. You pay for the land upfront, you pay for the charges upfront, you become unviable from day one. State governments have to realize that they have to agree on a staggered payment, on a deferred payment, and even in some cases take stock as part payment. And we have to work together to get the government to understand if you want the developers to come back, if you want housing to come back, and housing in India is housing as a GDP is the lowest. China is more than twice India. We have to support the developers because front-end money will not be possible. Again, when state government authorities sell land like MMRD or CITCO in Maharashtra as an instance, they must take money over a period of time rather than they ask for all of it upfront. Because no one will be able to borrow that money, no one will be able to afford that money, and no construction will take place. So I just listed these 4 critical points. Again, most of you are aware of this, most of you. Now for Reserve Bank of India, we need an early recognition that monetary policy transmission is not happening effectively in the current environment. Yields have risen, not fallen, despite the deep repo cut, as markets know that central and state governments are going to come into the market to borrow heavily. Banks have and will continue to remain risk averse. How do we change the attitude of bankers? They are going to be risk averse because of their past experience, because of the past problem. They have massive amount of NPAs and bad debts they have to contend with. So in their new lending, they will be more risk averse. How do we help to change what do we do to change their approach? Many recommendations have been made to RBI to directly purchase corporate bonds and commercial paper of the private sector, as the primary markets have dried up. Primary markets have dried up and no companies have been able to raise amounts of money. So Reserve Bank has to, as global central banks have done, it's not copying what others have done, but not one country, dozen countries have done this, where the central bank is buying commercial paper and the central bank is buying private sector debt in order to fund economic activities. So much so that 2 days ago, United States even came out that they will buy junk bonds from the market. The Federal Reserve will buy junk bonds, because junk bonds also are issued by companies who are on the marginal, who are on the margin. So we don't need to copy, but we need to have something where the government buys this, maybe for a short period of time. All this is always for a short period for the crisis. And RBI needs to act quickly, because now is not the time for any further financial accidents. Now let me go to the developers. Oh, one more item. One-time restructuring, a recommendation that has been made several times to the regulator now. This, to my mind, is a better option, a better solution, rather than to renegotiate. A better solution to renegotiate timelines of repayment, rather than getting into legal tangles of force majeure, which are triggered rampantly. Unwinding from this legal mess will be very painful. And finally, for some period of time, for a prescribed, predefined period of time, shift to 180-day NPAs from 90 days. Again, for 3 months or 6 months. This is absolutely necessary. Otherwise, all lending institutions will have massive non-performing loans, massive provisions to be made. They'll start making losses, and rating agents will downgrade everyone, and it will be real disaster, because businesses will collapse. Now, suggestions for you all, and then I'll stop. Compromise, compromise, compromise. Be willing to offload some of the unsold inventory at whatever price. You need liquidity, you need money. Prices have come down. You have unfortunately purchased land at higher prices. Now you have to take hits in some projects. During good times, people have made far large sums of money. In certain projects, you can lose, but get rid of your inventory. Leverage long-term relationships. First of all, you must keep long-term relationships. I have found that many developers are fickle with lenders. I have also experienced, in order to save 50 basis points or 75 basis points, you run away to some other bank who's offered you in good times money. You have to leverage and deepen your long-term relationship with your bankers. Use the moratorium as a last resort, because it's pushing the can down the road and there's a cost to it. Most moratoriums are for construction finance loans, followed by LRDs. But before opting for moratorium, know your strategy. What will your strategy be after 90 days when the moratorium is lifted? Don't let it slip into an NPA once the moratorium is lifted. Stay in touch with your suppliers and keep a strong eye on commodity prices like steel and cement. Be careful of perils of leverage. I have repeatedly said that leverage, borrowing, is a double-edged sword. In good times, in boom times, it amplifies your profits. It improves your profitability significantly. In bad times, it kills you. It destroys you. So be careful of the perils of leverage. It is today's problem that the developers are facing are more due to leverage and more due to short-term borrowings to meet long-term commitments. If you buy 100 acre of plot, you're going to be there for 15 years. You need a 15-year project loan and not a 1-year project loan. We have to get into project financing for large projects with moratoriums and things like that. Otherwise, you're bound to get into difficulty. Enhance the equity cushion. Make some compromise on valuation. Anyone, foreign, private, sovereign wealth fund, high net worth individual who's willing to put some money as equity, you need equity. you need a higher cushion of equity. Take any equity you get at whatever price, because it will help you in the long run. Focus on completing projects rather than starting new ones, even at the cost of putting new launches on hold. You can also, you can't do everything yourself. So you have to look at options like a debt asset swap, joint development contracts, development management agreements. I have seen in the last 3 to 4 months, number of developers have given their plots to large corporates, be it Tata's or Godrej, or be it Larsen and Toubro or others. And on a basis which the corporate has taken, I'll give you money from the revenue when the building starts construction or starts sale. So you have to get into these arrangements, because there are still number of developers who have top credibility and who are able to finance themselves in the market. So work in partnership. Don't sort of kill yourself by doing everything yourself. This is the time for partnership. This is the time for working together. This is the time for working with stronger companies. Raise the bar on governance and transparency. You will find more supporters. I know certain developers who have a good name. Whenever their project is advertised, they are sold, because they have strong ethics and they have strong transparency rules. I would also say that all of you have large family businesses, your family members are in this. Take home less money this year, because you have enough to live. Keep that money in the company. I have seen many companies also cut salaries. Many companies have voluntarily given up 30% of their pay. There are no increments going to be happen, no bonus, no increments to senior management or to the owners. So you have to have a cut in your expenses, cut your home running expenses, be a little more stingy in your spending. These are difficult times. We need you to go through them. And lastly, let's hope that our legal system does not fall us. The question is, should courts be deciding on executive decisions? Like issues recently we saw pertaining to the moratorium. One hopes that people will exercise restraint and sit across the table with your lenders and find solutions together, rather than resorting to legal interventions which are costly and long drawn out. Thank you. I'm now open to questions.
Thank you, sir. As usual, you have given us a holistic view of the entire world and the economy that is there. I don't think anybody else could have given us all this in such a short period of time. It's hardly 25 minutes that you have been able to give us an umbrella picture of the entire economy of the world, what is likely to happen in the situation worldwide, and then focus on the local. Let's get down to the local, sir. And the 3 things you have suggested, both in terms of what is to be done by the state government, what could be done by the RBI, and most important of all, what we can do. Sir, we have obviously a lot of questions, but my first question to you, sir, is this, that whatever may be the situation, as you know, in the last 1 year, the industry had gone through a huge crisis. So they were already leveraged, over-leveraged, things like that. You have, of course, very clearly that we need to rectify that situation by spending less and other things. But there are places where I think the present position has really compounded the issue in, as you said correctly, in a large number of people, this problem is there. So they're all wondering as to what can be done in view of the terrifying circumstances of today. Could you say, sir, 1, 2, or 3 things that is possible to do for such people? And you have, of course, mentioned a lot of them in the last part of the ladies and gentlemen, could you please put your mic on mute, because there is a disturbance and I don't want the disturbance to affect the Parikh's speeches. Could you please thank
निरंजन जी आप म्यूट पर हैं, प्लीज अनम्यूट कर लीजिए।
Parekh sir, you are on mute. Deepak Parekh sir, you are on mute. Please unmute yourself.
Niranjan bhai, you're on mute.
Niranjan, we can't hear you.
Arey baap re, 1 minute, bhai, I've got lost.
That's better. That's better.
Okay. Sir, there are a number of people who had been leveraged, over leveraged in the last 1 year. The nail on the coffin is almost there. Do you suggest anything that we could ask the government / financial institutions / RBI to have some sort of recourse in terms of a government guarantee for additional lending to come out of this serious situation, at least for 20% of the loans that could be there, some kind of a government guarantee for additional debt that may be given to such institution? I know it's a little offbeat suggestion, but I just thought, let me start with something which would be different in sense that even though I have a loan, but this unanticipated problem that we have today requires that. Our State Bank of India chairman mentioned that he would consider up to 10% of the working capital requirement to be increased on an immediate basis. Do you think this could be done by other financial institutions, and or do you think we can also ask, or should we ask the government to say that for this additional lending today, there could be some sort of a government guarantee that could possibly come up, similar to what has been discussed in terms of SMEs and others? We have already represented to do so.
No, I think it's not proper to ask government to give a guarantee. I don't think it will happen, and even if it happens, it will only be affordable housing side, which is say 20-25%. What we have to do here today, most of the developers are already in a stretch, and many of them are NPAs or will become NPAs. So first of all, we have to convince RBI that's in the interest of the industry, in the interest of the future of the industry. You have to allow us to do restructuring. Once you do restructuring, we can give you additional money. You see, if a project is already an NPA, the minute we give you more money, that becomes NPA from day one. So we have to have restructuring, and we have to extend for 3 months or 6 months, the NPA norms from 90 to 180 days. Then we can do all the restructuring. Then we can also lend longer term. If the existing loan is bad or going to go bad, it becomes very difficult. It's impossible to lend. So I think the two critical things is loan restructure and trying to extend the NPA from 3 to 4 months at least, or 5 months. So if it's extended, we can reschedule the loan. If it's already an NPA, we have to provide, and it becomes SMA 1, SMA 2. So we have to convince the RBI that they have to look at this. This is 100-year scenario, what we are facing today. And you have to think out of the box and do things which you have never thought of.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the banks will consider increasing, as Rajneesh Kumar has said, giving additional 10%. But if the developer is already NPA, no one is going to give you more.
Yeah.
That is.
Do we have Mr. Rajiv Talwar there?
Yes, sir. Morning.
Yeah. Could you keep the questions very short, because we need everybody who's going to ask questions needs to keep it as short as possible. We need to keep short questions so we have more of Mr. Deepak Parekh. Thank you.
Thank you. I know I have no question. I'm learning a lot from him, and he's a doyen of the banking industry. We go by his advice. I think I've already taken down the notes which he's given and in his webinar before. So I just want to welcome him, and of course look forward to HDFC playing a much greater role with the real estate industry and the housing and construction industry. Thank you.
Mr. Jaxi Shah is there? Jaxi, could we get you?
Jakshay.
Jaxi. Your mic is not off, Jaxi. Your mic is on off. Thank you.
Hello everybody. Hi Deepak sir.
Hi.
Sir, thanks for enlightening us in this critical time. On behalf of 215 city chapters of CREDAI and 23 state chapters, we all we all listen to you very carefully. There will be a time now. We have another 2 weeks to go. Whether it is a survival time, whether it's a revival time or a sustainable time, we don't know now. But I request you, this is only beginning. We need you at least every 10 days or a week, because things is changing very, very dramatically, and the dynamics of these changes and the announcement and everything going on has changed very lot. Apart from CREDAI and real estate and NAREDCO, we would like you lead the banking association to explain and convince RBI to start with, and then finance ministry, to how we can soon come out of this situation as fast as possible. Again, thanks for having us here together. We as an industry, as a CREDAI and NAREDCO, we are united, we are one, and I'm sure we will fight together, and we will. Thank you.
So I must say that we also made the representation. We have written to the Reserve Bank of India, we have written to the Finance Ministry and Department, the NHB chairman, and we are hoping that they are reviewing what can be done. We are waiting for their response.
Could we have Irfan Razak to come in, please?
Yeah, thanks, Niranjan. Deepak Bhai, as Niranjan said in his opening remarks, you are the godfather for real estate.
You have a beautiful
godfather. You are the godfather for us personally, for me personally, because I hold you in very, very high esteem. Now, generally in India, the word builder in an Indian scenario is always viewed with suspicion. But actually the builders create the infra of the country, like you rightly said. And apart from housing, we also build office spaces, IT spaces, retail malls, and hospitality assets. Today, now the retail malls, hospitality assets, and to a certain extent, even offices and IT parks are in danger because the rent payments and revenues are getting stopped, and we cannot, the developers who took those huge risks and built the country by making all these spaces are in a danger that they will not be able to service their EMIs. Can we request you to take this leadership with the RBI, finance minister, and if even required the Prime Minister, to see this one-time restructuring like what you suggested can be done soon, so that we don't get into all sorts of problems. And all your thoughts, whatever you spoke, were completely insightful, completely agree, except for one thought, sir, because you keep telling us that the prices has to come down by 20%. Today, when we are talking of affordable housing, we always work with cost plus margins. And if you look at all the listed companies, even the corporates, you'll see their PAT margins are single digits, maybe sometimes 7%, 8%. Moment Clarion call like you goes to say that prices should drop by 20%, even those customers that who want to buy will stop buying. I don't know, maybe in some micro market prices could be overinflated, but right now we are completely reduced to the bone. There's no margin left with developers. My request to you is that there's nothing left with us. And if we try and reduce our margins further and sell at a loss, we will not be able to not only service our loans, we'll be unable to even pay back our loans. So this is a little problem. I appreciate your thoughts on liquidity, conserving cash, not launching new projects, and also focusing on completion of projects. I keep telling my fraternity that the moment you complete, you will be able to sell and sell at a price. And of course, real estate is not a perishable commodity. So we seek your support on this, sir.
Now, I think there's a misunderstanding. When I said 20%, I meant existing flats that are already been built. Flats that are already built, people are sitting on it, not selling it because they want X price. Now, ready-made flats which can be sold, the developer will have to take up to get rid of the stock. The faster he gets rid of the stock, the better. I'm saying reduce price on project. I'm saying price on ready-made flats because the unsold is so large today. How long will all of you sit on holding? You should be able to get and move on. Then you can project unsold, built unsold. Because in 2 years you will have to pay tax on the notional rent of those unsold. So it is better not to take that burden and try and get rid of them. I'm not talking of reduction of board. I'm talking whole stay liquid, sell that already ready. And it doesn't impact you because you are you should take on more projects from your fraternity who are in difficulty because your reputation, whatever you build, is old. So you have an excellent reputation. House I can see.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'm not talking for myself individually. I'm talking for the entire fraternity and for the market because it gives a different sound vibe. In fact, you did the webinar recently and you told the developers to conserve cash. Now, all the general public thinks that even if they have some cash, they should keep it and not buy a home. So, there's some sort of a wrong message that goes through. That is why I said, let's correct the context in which you are saying this, because I appreciate every word that you have said. And I also appreciate that you have been a big supporter of this fraternity and we want to get out of this together with your help.
No, I was saying that people who have cash, people who have secured jobs today and have cash flows, it will be a good time for them in this depressed market to buy apartments. So there's an opportunity for people who don't have homes but have secured jobs to buy. So I'm still saying that a good developer, reputable developer, whom the public has confidence that they will complete the project, you will still find sales happening.
Thank you, sir.
If I say the first 11 months of our office, we've had largest number of applications. It is only in the 15 days last week of March where everything came to a standstill. But 11 and a half, the growth has been good. If you are buying flat, and housing is so necessary, and in fact, after this coronavirus, most people who live in joint families will now see the need of buying another house, however small it is, because there are so many people living close to each other in small homes that they will buy some affordable home. Demand home.
I agree with you 100%, sir.
Thank you very much. Can I have Mr. Satish Magar? The request is to be short and sweet with a question because we have lots of people wanting to ask. Thank you.
Sir, I'd asked my initial question about what we should ask from the government, and you were elaborating that. But we have issues with RBI on one-time restructuring, and also the banks to pass on the interest benefit to people. So your support in this will be widely appreciated by all of us. And there's one more point, sir, which has come. We are all talking about reducing prices. We understand that. But now cartelization has started by the cement and steel industry, where they are sending letters to us saying that post-COVID, the rates are going to go up. How do we handle this situation?
How can cement prices and steel prices go up? I think they're going down because there's so much glut of cement.
So they're sending letters to us.
But if you have a competition commission, you can't form a cartel. Cement companies have been hauled up in the past also. So there is a competition commission who will look into it. And I don't remember the first question you asked before that.
Sir, because we have been following up with RBI for quite some
I
time on the
would
one-time
say
request.
that the developer community jointly have more influence on government and RBI than what we have.
So Irfan has told about the builder's reputation, so I don't need to speak more on that. So even the banks are not passing on the interest rate to the
No,
consumer.
to good developers, we are giving the best rates, and State Bank has brought down the rates. Again, it depends on the rating of the developer.
Thank you. Could I have Mr. J.C. Sharma? Mr. J.C. Sharma, your voice is on mute.
Good afternoon, everybody. Am I audible?
Yeah,
Please go ahead.
Sir, you have to show us the light. The developers are suffering through liquidity, low demand, high interest cost. What HDFC is going to do during these tough times where we feel a little bit confident?
see, high liquidity is your own doing. In good times, you keep borrowing because borrowing is easy. Borrowing and buying land. Now demand has come down. We have to wait till demand comes up. That is why my advice to you is we will always, we can't make the loans NPA. If we become unviable, how can HDFC survive? If we are being unviable, no one will lend us money. So we have to be viable ourselves in order to be able to help them. The other point you have to understand is what I'm trying to say is there are good corporates and good contracting companies like Larsen and Toubro. Let me give you one example. Larsen and Toubro has taken 3 or 4 or 5 projects from developers on their terms. So the developer, so as a lender to that developer, we feel more confident now that Larsen and Toubro will do the construction. They can easily get construction finance from anyone in India. Any bank will be giving to fund Godrej or L&T or Mahindra or Tata's or anyone. Like that, even in your community, there are dozens of you who are viable and people are willing to lend to. So you have to have some kind of partnership with someone who will build for you or who will complete the project for you, and that cash flow you give part of it to the bank, part of it would be yours. So you have to have a joint understanding, and please believe me, there will be large number of overseas interest also. State Bank of India has come out government scheme of that Swami, where they have already approved some 18 projects. I have a list of the projects that they've approved and dispersed. So in this stressed fund, and as you know, the government said that they will give 50,000. At the moment, they've only given 25,000 crores to State Bank. Once that is utilized, we'll release the other 25.
Thank you.
You have to tap that SBI stressed fund where you are stressed. I know a number of you have gone to them and they have got money or approvals at least.
Thank you, sir. May I request Bowman Irani to come in, please?
Deepak bhai, thank you very much. I really have no question except that, when you mentioned compromise, I would think it'd be interesting to see banks, the government, as well as the developers, all three lending into this compromise rather than just the real estate industry. I know we must have made a lot of mistakes in the past, but now is an unprecedented time and we look for the support coming in. And a lot of my members, sir, as you know, CREDAI is about 13,000 plus members across the country, have been requesting or pushing on various forum interest freeze, not really a morat, but saying that this period, because the lead lag of construction is that today 30 days or 45 days actually leads to a 6-month lag in the entire construction and development industry. So towards that, just as a suggestion from all our members, sir, if there's anything that we can do to freeze all interest and not just offer a morat for right now. Thanks.
No, we can certainly look at it case by case basis, but this has also taught us a lesson, Bowman, that when we fund a developer, one, we have to give a longer term and we have to give a moratorium, because it takes him time to organize, start building. Only then, after it comes to a certain level, you can sell. We have also learned from this that in new loans that we give, we'll have to look at a larger amount of moratorium, even for interest and principal, till the time when the sales happen. So it's a learning for all of us. You know, as I said, I know developers who've got 100 acres of big corporate land, industrial land, and they borrow for 2 years and 1 year. Now, they can't borrow for 2 or 1 year. They are going to be there for 15 years. We have to give them, if we want to fund them, we have to give them 15-year money back-ended, where money would come 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. We have to do that as lenders, whether it's bank, housing finance, we'll have to do that scenario. I agree. Compromise should be from all, and compromise should be from all, and we all have to agree.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Can I have Mr. Neil Raheja, please? Neil, are you there? Can you put your mic on? Mr. Neil Raheja? No. Okay.
No, Neil is very much there. He should put on his mic, actually. I can see him. Neil, can you come on?
We'll call him next. Mr. Nayan Shah, please.
Deepak Bhai,
Yeah.
first of all, thank you for getting us together. I have two suggestions, Deepak Bhai. The RBI generally listens to the Indian Banks Association. Now, what is happening is that the Indian Banks Association have a huge different stakeholders to take care of. Can we look at having an Indian Housing Financing Association? Because that will give focus to all the reliefs that the real estate industry wants. See, today, the RBI, the government, all of them are worried. Okay, what the builders are asking, is it logical? Is it rational? Should we consider? Should we not consider? You know, so they don't have a single person who is guiding them. So number one, can we have an Indian Housing Finance Association formed? Point number one, sir. And if that is formed, then there will be a lot of discipline coming on both sides. And the reliefs will also be there, very measured, very proper. My second suggestion is, sir, everybody has now realized that मेरा घर है तो मैं खुश हूँ और मैं safe हूँ. Can the HFCs, the developers, the whole stakeholders come out with a campaign, you know, to say that मैं घर हूँ, मेरा घर है तो मैं safe हूँ. This will encourage the buyers, you know, to say that a home is an absolute necessity for me. So these are my 2 points, sir.
So on your first point, we have National Housing Bank, whom we represent. And you know, now banks are also giving money for housing, construction, retail loans, corporate loans, rental discounting. So now the banks are, and there are very few housing finance companies that are still around, strong. So to form a housing finance association, you'll also have to take the banks in, because they are also big lenders.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it is like we have the National Housing Bank chairman calls the CEOs of all housing finance companies every 2 months, 3 months. And we meet them, the CEO goes and meets them. And so NHB is really our regulator. We have to really be in touch with NHB for our issues. So directly we don't have RBI, although now RBI is going to be supervising HFCs also. But the regulator is, NHB is not, it's very much there.
No, Deepak bhai, I agree with you, but there is no dialogue that we are able to have with NHB at all. You know, the point is that for all the day-to-day issues, and especially in this situation, you know, so we could have a representative from ICICI Bank and other bankers also as part of the Indian Housing Finance Association, you know, who will also deal with NHB or RBI or whatever?
There are enough associations. Why do you want to start new ones? You know, the government doesn't like all these associations. So there's no point starting new associations. There are so many, even industry associations. We have CII, FICCI, associations. Like you have two already in your real estate. So anyway, we are working privately with Reserve Bank, Housing Bank, and the Finance Ministry, and requesting for all what your people are asking, because we also need that support. We also need that break. And on the second point about saying the house is safety and all, I think there's no, we can advertise. I think we'll use that as our
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Could I have Neil Raja if he's there? No? Can I have Mr. Vikas Oberoi, please?
Deepak Bhai, firstly, a big thank you for giving us such a masterclass in managing real estate business in times of crisis. Only a person, only a champion like you who has 5 decades of experience can do that. You've already given us a suggestion that government needs to bring down stamp duty or probably do a stamp duty waiver. You're absolutely right. We want the government to play a role of a facilitator in increasing demand. One obviously is that if for a short window they reduce stamp duty, we'll see customers wanting to take advantage of that and come and buy apartments. One other thing could be that if government could look at reducing interest rates for home buyers. Obviously, one needs to reduce cost of money at the hands of housing finance companies. Could you suggest the government to come up with tax-free bonds, and companies like yours could directly raise money from the people, and people investing in could get tax-free interest. So that way their returns could be at 4% and you could lend to buyers. The other thing was how do we as an industry galvanize ourselves and become one voice when we go to the government and liaison for the benefits that one is looking for? Because you rightly said that we end up being fragmented, we end up being not heard, and we don't get the advantage of the good work as an industry we do. We don't get an advantage of the volume that we are in today. Imagine more than 10,000 people listening to you on a webinar. And I want to just end by saying that because of this lockdown, I've been listening to a lot of these web calls. But trust me, yours is the best. Any real estate guy who wants to know what he should be doing, summarized everything so well in the first 25 minutes. I don't think we are left with any questions. It's just implementation of what you've said that can get us through. So a big thank you again.
No, I agree with you that you should all have one voice because it's the same end objective. And on this stamp duty, we've also government, we've also written. So we are also trying to see if they sacrifice for a limited period of time, 8 weeks during the festival season, Diwali, Dussehra, the auspicious months. If we sacrifice stamp duty, we can then have some accelerated sales. And you have a very strong balance sheet. I know you have one of the strongest balance sheets among the developer fraternity. So if you feel opportunity is there to take a stalled project or work with someone, you should look at those opportunities other than look to buy land now. I think no one should buy new land. Land will come cheaper to you. Please trust me, if no one has the liquidity to pay upfront for the land, unless the landowner is willing to give a deferred payment, no one is going to buy it, unless there is a joint development agreement. But I think you have developed a number of projects, and your funding also, I think in future what you have to see is that when you take a large land, which I know you've taken in Thana, one should give you a 10-year loan because that project will take you 5-7 years to build. Apart from the initial 2-3 years to get approvals, get some legal issues sorted out on the title, all I'm aware of that project. To give you a longer period of loan cost will take you that long, rather than give you a 3-year loan. You also understand now we have to be a little more flexible in looking at the project to see realistically when will it complete and not give short-term. One voice, I agree, we all should have one voice. We are all working together. But you know, the most important thing is that for HDFC, we have to be profitable. If we become vulnerable, then people will lend us. So we cannot afford to be there. So I know some people are upset about our interest, but we have to take care of NPAs also, because these are difficult times. So we have to have a little margin to provide for non-performing loans.
Deepak bhai, I totally agree with you that today cost of debt is less relevant than liquidity at the hand of the developer. I completely agree with you. I don't think developers should nickel and dime over 50-100 basis points. And you rightly said that you have stood by people in difficult times. So it's not really, you know, a good idea for a developer to now look for in a good time to you know, simply go to other people who are giving cheaper debt. I think what you said is absolutely correct. My only point was that one is like you give loans to developers. The other is that how do we encourage buyers to come out and buy? This way, the liquidity will get generated at the level of the buyer, and we will not then end up stressing the banking system so much. And bankers, I feel, are more happy giving home loans to individuals because there the risk gets divided, and when they buy, they make this capital investment. So somewhere we need to tweak a policy which encourages them to buy apartments.
See, we have also toyed internally with the idea of setting up a stressed real estate fund. The need of the hour is to have a stressed real estate fund. All over the world, you have the distressed real estate fund. There are a large number of foreign players willing to come to this distressed fund. So the way the distressed funds abroad goes, distressed fund means they want a higher return, usurious return. They're not happy with the normal return. I know 2 or 3 large American firms who approached us that let's start a joint distressed fund for real estate. But their expectations of returns are so abnormal that it doesn't make sense in a because if you start a distressed fund, reasonable return, you don't want 10%, 25%, which apparently they get elsewhere. So distressed fund is another thing. I think there is a possibility that someone should get together, start a distressed real estate. You can get some sovereign wealth funds from Singapore and GIC and State Bank and a few other large institutions come together and one India-based best real estate fund. I think it's a good idea for us to work.
And so the return there would be at least high teens, given the rupee depreciation to be taken into account for these foreign investors.
Oh, like similarly, if you saw how the private sector and the public sector work together to fund Yes Bank, it was an effort, joint public-private partnership to ensure that another bank doesn't go the IL&FS way or collapses. We had to join together and put some money together. Similarly, I think we have to join together and try and look for a stressed fund. I will talk to the SBI chairman to see whether he's on the same page, then we can capital and get some overseas people like IFC or work for some IFC to come over.
Just to put an additional word, sir, in fact, our discussion with Chairman of State Bank of India him that he would be very happy if somebody else took up an additional stress fund, and he would encourage it. In fact, that was one of the discussions that we have had with Mr. Rajnish Kumar in his interaction with us, just to add that to the things.
Okay.
May I have Mr. Praveen Jain, please?
Thank you, Deepak Bhai. Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity.
Mr. Praveen Jain, please. Mr. Praveen Jain. Okay. Could I have Mr. Pankaj Bajaj, please?
Mr. Parekh, there are more than 7,000 developers on this call. So that gives us an idea of the kind of interest and anxiety there is amongst our lot these days. I suspect about 80% of these are from smaller towns. And they're not as big, or as their balance sheets are not as strong as some of the panelists who are visible on the screen. I know for a fact that HDFC believes in the tier 2 story. You've been funding developers for years, for decades. My own company received a 25 lakh rupee loan from you in 1996 in Lucknow. So those are the, you've been backing the tier 2 developers for so long. My question is this, sir. There is a school of thought that tier 2 towns are now going to do better. It is said that 80% of the real estate market in the country is in the top 6 cities. Do you see some of this market shifting to tier 2 towns? Maybe the tier 2 towns or tier 3 towns get a market share or increase from 20% to 30%. Will some manufacturing shift to these places? Because it is being said that workers have gone back to their native places. They would not like to come back to the metros, and they would like to work in, say, a 100 or 200 kilometer radius from their native places. Do you subscribe to this theory? Do you think, I know it's early, but what's your view on this?
I don't think it can significantly shift, because the urban conglomerates are so large. And if you look at around Delhi or around Mumbai and Bangalore, I think these are the cities that are growing, spreading. So there is some demand in second tier cities, but not that high. I've seen places like Jodhpur and others where builders have come up with places, but it takes a long time for them to sell. The other thing you must also remember is, unfortunately, the rental yields are so low that today many people, many youngsters I know in cities like Bombay and Delhi, who feel that it is better to rent than buy, because rental yields are all-time low. 3%, 2%, you can get a flat on rent compared to the value of the flat. So one has to see that how do we, unless the rental yields go up, people are reluctant to put money into it. So, you know, earlier rental was not, there was no flats available for love or money on rent. But now with the laws having changed, and you can do 11-month leases, and you can have a predetermined court that you will vacate, and all issues have come up. This security, this support system has come. So a landlord is quite willing to give his flat on rent. And this is another dampener for the real estate developers who are building new homes. You see, investors are no longer interested in real estate. That's another large community which has sort of disappeared from the market. One of the main reasons why the market has slowed down. Earlier, developers, investors used to buy because the prices were kept going up. And he would park part of his money with the developer and sell it when the house is ready. Now, last 3 years, 4 years, we've seen, even after the building is ready, the prices are not. So the entire investor community who have sort of gone out of the market. So that's another hit as so far as the demand is concerned. So demand is boiled down to actual users. That's how the market has shrunk.
Thank you, sir.
Can I have Mr. Sandeep Rulwal, please?
Good afternoon, Deepak Bhai, and good afternoon to all the participants. Most of the participants, there's a great saying which says behind every successful businessman, there is a woman. But I have to say, behind every successful developer and behind most of us, there has been an institution called HDFC and one gentleman, Mr. Deepak Bhai. Deepak Bhai, we have also been the beneficiaries of your foresight and investing in my father in the 1980s, and our company has grown with the blessings of HDFC. I have two questions, Deepak Bhai. You have been mentioning when you started the speech, saying maintain liquidity. All of us today are struggling with zero sales and zero receivables. How do we maintain liquidity for the next 3 to 6 months? That's the first question. Second question is, a lot of people made comparisons to the 2008-2009 crisis. Is it similar to what we are facing today? And how do you see the markets in the next 6 months and in the next 3 years? Thank you, sir.
On liquidity, my point is you can't have liquidity today. Today, everyone is overstretched because the sales are not happening and your running costs are already there. When times improve, when normalcy happens, you have to, the point I'm making on liquidity is don't sit on completed flats. Sell at whatever price you get, because you have to get cash flow in. You cannot just sit on completed properties. I know there are some private equity people who have bought private equity is buying unsold apartments at throwaway prices. There are 5 or 6 of the PEs, global PEs, who have bought 50, 20, 30 apartments saying that I'll hold on and I'll sell it later on in good developers, good buildings and all. My point of liquidity is when normalcy returns, you have to be liquid rather than be stressed like this. This position is not like 2008, it is worse than 2008. As I said, it is in 90 years the world has seen this kind of crisis. Since the global world depression of it was exactly 90 years ago when the depression happened. So liquidity point I made in future and sit on unsold stock. That was the point I was making. What was your second question?
So how do you see the markets in the next 6 months and 3 years?
6 months is going to be tough. 6 months is going to be extremely difficult. But I think the market will slowly pick up over the years. And particularly there will be demand for smaller flats. See, most people want to own their own flat. They work and they pay. They pay while they work. So I don't think the demand, the actual demand for housing is collapsing. It has collapsed now, but I think it's going to come back when normalcy returns a few months after normalcy, because people still want to live alone, still want to break from joint families. People still want to have their own small house. So maybe the demand for 100 crore flats is over, but the demand in, say, Mumbai, for instance, for 2 to 3 crores houses, up to 2 crores or 3 crores, up to 2 crores, I would say demand will definitely be there. You all
Thank you so much, sir.
You have to build smaller homes, that's all.
Sir, I just had a very interesting insight. We are on the process of launching Pune, where we have got a greater demand for the 3-bed and the 4 beds, and the 2 beds are not doing very well, which has been a very big surprise to us.
Yeah, some places I've seen where there's a joint family and grandparents and parents staying with you, they prefer a larger house. But overall, my experience in the last few years have been smaller the house, easier to sell.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sir, about two decades ago, almost 2 decades ago, my daughter Priya did internship in HDFC. At that time, she worked, you deputed her to be under Tara Subramanian. May I request Tara Subramanian to ask questions?
Our own employee is asking a question.
Tara Subramanian was your employee, yes, but she was the teacher of my daughter. So I'm giving her this privilege only because she was a teacher to my daughter.
Sir, our audio is on mute. Ma'am, you are on mute. Sir, you can ask next person.
Next person. Could I ask Mr. Prem Kumar to please come in?
Sir, Mafat Rajji is also there.
Oh, sir. Good afternoon. This is Prem Kumar, sir. Well, everyone's talking about this deep recession that we are in and we are getting to. And it's a well-known fact that in a recession, in a depression, real estate and infrastructure that kickstarts an economy. And then we are looking at a scenario where there is going to be the prices of real estate. But then the sentiment is going to be so bad that it takes much more than a 20% reduction in prices to bring the buyer back, because the buyer is always adopting a wait and watch approach to this kind of environment. So in this kind of a scenario, should the government look at us, real estate sector, contribute so much to employment and to the economy? Should something more be done in bigger tax breaks to for their installments and interest on capital gains, and to the status for all segments and not just the affordable segment for a short period of time, because this will bring some kind of an urgency to the buyer to come into the market and have the demand. And maybe also tax break to investors and corporates for commercial real estate. This is my question, sir.
No, what I understand from you is that how soon will demand come?
Yes.
How soon demand will pick. As I've answered earlier, I think there will be a time maybe of 3 to 6 months till normalcy returns. But I feel that you will see some demand appearing again during the festive season, if there is no second wave, and if we are able to solve this by May, and the numbers come down and the economy is gradually opened, May, June gradually opens up. I understand that certain sectors are being opened up even now. For instance, I heard that whichever construction site, whether it's road, metro, or housing, or commercial, if the labor camp is full and the labor is sitting in the labor camp, they will allow them to start using social distancing and better hygiene conditions. But where the labor has gone, they are not going to start reopen trains and have people come back so soon. At least not till 3rd of May. We'll see what happens in the 2 weeks. I understand from Maharashtra government that there are a large number of areas which are not impacted by the coronavirus or marginally impacted. Apart from Mumbai and Pune, most parts of Maharashtra, some kind of activity is going to begin soon. That's that.
Thank you. Mr. Jagseshah, your voice is on mute. Your mic.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, once again. दीपक जी, हमारे बहुत सारे लोग Tier 2, Tier 3 सिटी से हैं, तो मैं आपको हिंदी में सवाल करना चाहूंगा, if you are okay.
Okay.
सर, आपने पूरा मतलब एक होलिस्टिक अप्रोच और बहुत अच्छी तरह पूरा समझाया, लेकिन आने वाली चैलेंजेस 3 या 6 महीने में, एटलीस्ट फॉर 2 क्वार्टर्स, एक तो है कि चैलेंज एग्जिस्टिंग प्रोजेक्ट को कैसे पूरा किया जाए, वो आपने बोला कि लिक्विडिटी, इंटरेस्ट और मे बी सम काइंड ऑफ लिक्विडिटी पुश फ्रॉम द आरबीआई आप करा सकते हैं. लेकिन सर, अगर कोई छोटे सिटी में जहां पर लैंड इज नॉट अ बिग प्रॉब्लम, तो वहाँ और सिटी में आप लोग एक 1.5 BHK वाला अगर कोई 2 BHK अगर अपार्टमेंट रखे, या भी सम बालकनी डिजाइन करे, या कमर्शियल डिजाइन करने के ऑफिस में पहले द थंब रूल के 100 स्क्वायर फीट में एक आदमी बैठेगा. नाउ देयर इज अ चांस, इफ देयर इज अ चांस कि 200 स्क्वायर फीट में एक आदमी, यू वुड रिक्वायर्ड अ मोर स्पेस इन कमर्शियल. यू राइटली सेड, आपने बोला कि सर्विस सेक्टर है, तो सर अपॉर्चुनिटी है, लेकिन डेवलपर को आगे जाके पैसा एक तो है, लेकिन राइट काइंड ऑफ प्रोडक्ट कैसे सोचना चाहिए, उसके बारे में आप कुछ बता सकते हैं?
Should I try again?
हर एक मार्केट में अलग अलग होता है. अभी लोकल पर्सन वो मार्केट में जे मार्केट में है, वो उसको तो पता चलना चाहिए कि इसमें क्या डिमांड है, 1 बेडरूम का है कि 2 बेडरूम का है कि कमर्शियल ग्राउंड प्लस 1 है कि प्लॉट्स है, प्लॉट देने के लिए। क्वाइट अ फ्यू प्लेसेस हमने देखा है कि जमीन दिमाग करके इजियर बिकती है। लोग को छोटा छोटा घर खुद का बनाना चाहिए, बनाने की इच्छा होती है। So plots are selling better in smaller towns than apartments. So अलग अलग एरिया में ना हमने भी, हमारे काफी ब्रांचेस है ऑल इंडिया में। हम छोटे कंस्ट्रक्शन फाइनेंस लोन्स भी देते हैं टियर 2 टियर 3 सिटीज में। उन लोग ने उन डेवलपर्स को रिलेशनशिप बिल्ड करना चाहिए हमारे लोकल आदमी लोग से। हम उन लोग से भी सकते हैं, हमने थोड़ा उन लोग को भी एम्पावर किया है, थोड़ा छोटा छोटा लोन सैंक्शन करने के लिए बिल्डर्स के लिए। बिकॉज एक्टिविटीज तो ऑल इंडिया में होनी चाहिए, खाली शहर में नहीं होनी चाहिए, छोटे शहरों में। तो हमने ये एम्पावर किया है हमारे आदमी लोग को ब्रांचेस में। So develop relationship with our people in different branches.
Thank you. Thank you.
One of my other teachers in the real estate field, Mr. Mafatraj Banod, please. Mafatraj ji.
Niranjan.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah. Deepak bhai.
Hey, I was almost 2 hours now.
Two more people. Two more people.
Okay.
Mafatraj ji.
नमस्कार सर।
नमस्कार नमस्कार
सर, अगर इफ यू रिकॉल आपको MCHI ने फेलिसिटेट किया, आई यूज यू कि हम उसी को खुदा समझते हैं जो मुसीबत में आए। और आज जो हम मुसीबत में हम लोग हैं सब, उसका कारण कुछ भी रहा होगा। मे बी India will progress further, but demonetization happened, RERA happened, GST happened, ILFS happened, and all that things. Even now, further COVID has happened. So हमारे लिए तो आप खुदा हो, हमको आपने जो गाइड किया है, I mean, we are highly obliged. मेरे और कोई सवाल नहीं है. Lot of people have asked and you have very well guided everyone. One more thing is that, you know, I mean, today you can influence government and the RBI better for restructuring. And second is that how we can generate the demand. Unless the government incentivizes, whether it's a rebate of higher interest rate or any other subsidies by the incentives by the government, which can encourage the demand, and that will solve the problem in long term. This is my humble request. हमारे लिए तो खुदा आप ही हो, तो हम तो आपको ही प्रार्थना कर सकते हैं. We can only pray to you. Thank you with all this.
नहीं, इसमें what I feel is that on this question, how to create more demand, I think the demand will come back. Different categories of apartments, high-end apartments, I think there is a saturation where I'm sure all of you from Bombay will agree that 100 crores and above flats or 50 and above flats is something of the past. You are unable to sell. So prices of land really will down significantly in central Bombay or central heart of Delhi or something, because people don't have that kind of money to buy. Odd cases, 1 or 2 cases of high worth individuals are there. But if you want to do mass selling, you have to be in the mid segment, mid to lower segment, not the high end segment. And demand will come depending on location and the quality of the builders. And you know, we have a private equity fund with Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, and we have seen that when we've done one project in outside Bombay and one in Pune, one with Mahindras and one with Godrej, and I can't tell you, within the first week 80% of the units have been sold. So it really depends on the credibility of the developer. You have to build your credibility, and most of you have credibility and your projects will sell. But you have to work on that. You will deliver the date. You are being fair. You are treating your customers properly. You have to, it's a different market today. Earlier, you could throw out customers who bargained with you, argue with you. But now it's the other side of the market. So you have to be a little more sympathetic towards the purchaser. You have to win him over. You have to woo him, and you have to market your products a little better, because this is the new game today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, just to intervene myself, for a stimulus package, ASSOCHAM has requested the finance minister for a 50% respite in GST for a period of 6 months. As it is, demand is low, but in order to kickstart the economy through deficit financing, this could be a good stimulus which will be across the board, not only for real estate, but the entire marketplace. I'm just putting it across to you, sir. So if you can support something like that, it will be nice to know, sir.
No, that is a good idea. The other thing is that
Sir.
even for 1 year in the budget, or the government says that we will give you a higher deduction of interest.
Sir.
If you book a flat now, if you book a flat in the next 3 months, let normal come back. As we are talking about state government for stamp duty and registration charges, we are talking to state government about deferring or payment at the end for levies like TD, I2R, why pay upfront, pay later. Similarly, central government can do is that give a tax concession, interest concession for 6 months or 1 year, and it ends there. And so in that year, you can pick up economic activity and people can move and buy flats. So we have to work with state and central governments, individual state governments and central government on this.
Yes. Sir, second last question is from Ashok Patni, sir. From
Good afternoon, sir.
Rajasthan.
Good afternoon, sir. I am from Jaipur. Can I speak in Hindi only, sir?
Yes, please do.
सर अभी जो हम सब बात कर रहे हैं ये टायर 1 सिटी और मेगा सिटीज की बात कर रहे हैं. What you are planning to help or assist to developers in tier 2, 3, 4 city where they are having lot of unsold inventory and there are so many other things to complete the project. Number 1. Number 2, what you are planning to announce a credit policy especially for the real estate sector, sir.
Credit policy? I didn't follow the. दूसरा question क्या है?
दूसरा क्वेश्चन ये सर कि what we are planning to assist or help in the cities, tier 2, 3 city, छोटे डेवलपर सामान बना के बैठे हैं, इन्वेंट्री क्लियर नहीं हो रही है, बैंकों का ब्याज सर पे बोल रहा है, किस्तें सर पे बोल रही है. कोई रिस्ट्रक्चर उनका हो, कुछ और कुछ अनाउंसमेंट उनके साथ हो.
हाँ, तो जिस बैंक ने पैसा दिया है उसके साथ बात करके रिस्ट्रक्चर करना पड़ेगा, बट एनपीए होगा तो रिस्ट्रक्चर नहीं हो सकता है. तभी तो हम आरबीआई को रिक्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं कि 1 टाइम रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग परमिट करिए.
सर
हमने भी रिक्वेस्ट किया है आरबीआई को 1 टाइम रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग परमिट करिए, तो पीछे बराबर रिस्ट्रक्चर कर सकते हैं. 6 महीने 1 साल और ज्यादा दे सकते हैं, तो पीछे सेल्स भी बाय दैट टाइम ज्यादा चालू हो जाएंगे.
यस सर, यस सर.
ने भी ये रिक्वेस्ट किए हैं.
Thank you,
sir. Sir, before the last speaker, Nayan Shah wants to make an announcement regarding next lecture for CREDAI. Nayan Shah, if you could just make your statement.
Yeah. Thank you, Niranjan bhai. Sorry, Deepak bhai, I'll just take 15 seconds. I just want to inform all the participants that today at 1:45, 15 minutes from now, Shri Nitin Gadkari, our Honorable Cabinet Minister for Infrastructure, Transport, etc., is going to address all of us. So please do join the webinar also. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Could I have Rajan Bandelkar to have a question and then conclude by vote of thanks?
Sir, thank you very much, Deepak sir. I don't have any questions because everyone has asked so many questions. But only I want to tell only one thing, what my fellow developers has told, you are godfather only for developer. I want to add to that, you are godfather for developer, financial institutions, and moreover for home buyers. See, today all the home buyers got loan only because when HDFC started it. So one small request from all home buyers, Reserve Bank has already reduced the reverse repo rate to 4%. So if we can see that home loans at 6%, then 100% this industry would work. Also, we have tremendous demand in affordable and all segments. So only one request, instead of keeping the money in Reserve Bank, give it to home buyers. So people will, all the people, home buyers will bless all the financial institution. And once again, thank you very much, because I would like to tell you more than 8,500 attendees were there, and probably this is the one of the largest ever attended real estate webinar, and this could have been done only and only and only by Deepak Parekh only, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bowman, you want a razor?
Sorry?
You want a razor?
I'm reflecting the mood of the industry.
I need a barber for my haircut. I don't know what to do.
We'll go together and get a joint discount, sir. I say thank you, sir, from all of us. Thank you very much.
Sir, much appreciate. Thank you for the time and thank you for all the wisdom that we have got. We're really looking forward.
Thank you.
Thank you again. You can see the response which has come over here. It's overwhelming. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Deepak
you,
bhai.
Deepak
Thank you
bhai.
very
Thank
much.
you all
Thank you.
the participants. Thank you all.
Thank you, Niranjan. Thank you, Niranjan.
Thanks, Niranjan.
Thank
Thanks,
you, sir.
Satish
Thank you,
bhai, for
Niranjan bhai.
organizing
Thank you,
this.
Rajan.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
all of you.
Thank you all of you.
Thank
Bye.
you, thank you.
Much
Thank
appreciated.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
लाल जी जयपुर पे भी आपका राज है.
It was a super webinar. I think we enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Irfan.
Very, very much. And the cooperation that we have had from the whole industry.
You are the born leader of the real estate industry.
Mafatraj ji, but you are the father of the born leader.
सर मफतराज जी राजस्थान से हैं.
I know.
Thank you. Thank you, kind.
Thank you. Thank you.